Hi students, Miss Walsh here, and today we are going to learn how to do the chi-square test on Excel. So if you'd like to follow along, you can open the blank file that I have posted as well and just be pausing it and doing each step as you go along. The lesson is assumed on you having done the last couple of days work, meaning that that in order to populate the expected values, it's row total times column total divided by the grand total, and you also have done the long hand work of subtracting the observed minus expected to find that calculated chi-squared. So here we go. The first thing, this is our observed values. I'm using the same two problems as before. You will notice that our totals are missing. So no problem. What we're going to do is we're just going to use the sum function and get the sum of these two. And then with a little cross, if I just drag this all the way across, then it does add up these two. Now this is 0 because I don't have anything in here yet. And now I'm just going to do the sum again of these three. It goes over a little bit. And when I drag with a little cross down, we end up with the 60, which is what we had before. And notice always the rows add up to the 60 and the columns. Okay. So we now need to populate our expected values. All right, so let's do the first one. And we're not going to do each one separately. I'm going to show you a cool little shortcut on how to populate it all at once. But let's do the first one. Okay, so we're going to go equal sign, and we're going to need a bracket because we're going to have to divide by 60 both values. And we're going to go this value times the row total, close bracket, divided by the total. Okay, this is our first expected value. If you check your notes from before, it is the same. Okay, now the next one we would have to move over and we would have to do this value by this value. So, and then we're always dividing by 60. So this is fixed. So I'm going to show you a cool little function using the $sign to fix values in place, okay? So since we're always dividing by this value, I'm going to fix the G, and I'm going to fix the 8. And when you have a dollar in the front, what it does, it'll stop moving. Okay, now let's look at what happens when we have this value here. Okay, now I'm happy to move across of these, but what I want is I do just want to fix that 8. Okay, I want him to stay here. Otherwise, when you move down, he's going to move down with you. Okay, so we're going to fix this. And then for this one, for the G, again, I'm happy now for him to move down and change the numbers, but I don't want him moving away from the G. I want the G fixed. Okay, so we're going to put a $sign in front of that. The value is still the same, and it's only allowing me to do one row at a time. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. When I expand this, boom, he's just done it. So and then to do the next one, just do the little cross, and there we go. You'll notice, of course, the totals are the same. Okay, so look what happened. So what happened was, remember we fixed the 8? So he was allowed to move for the next value over to the E and the F, but he had to stay at 8. As opposed to for this one, he was allowed to go down by the numbers, but he had to just stay with the G, okay? So that's how you populate the expected values without doing that for every single one. Okay, now on to calculating our chi-squared value. It has 2 steps. Here's your first one. All right, we're going to calculate something called, so we're going to do the chi-squared test. I'm going to select that. And it's going to ask me for the actual range. That's our observed. Notice we do not take the totals. And then semicolon. It's going to ask us for the expected. So we're going to select the expected values, and then we're going to hit enter on that. All right. This is not the chi-squared value. This is something called the p-value. The p-value is extremely important in statistics. You'll hear it a lot next year. The very rough way of saying it is it's the probability that given that this null hypothesis is true, that sports preference is independent of gender, that these values just happen to be what they are by chance. Okay, so you want a bigger, so we want a bigger p-value. which is the opposite of what we want of the chi-squared, right? So never mind about this. We just need this number right now. So here we go. We're going to get our chi-squared, okay? So we're going to go to equals again. And this time we need our chi-squared, and we're going to go to this inverse RT. And it's going to ask us for the probability. And that's going to be this number. And then it's going to ask us for something called degrees of freedom. Now, I'm going to press escape. And by the way, if you ever press something weird, I don't know if you have, I've done like a million times, and you're getting stressed out with the formula, just hitting escape will help. All right, degrees of freedom. I'm not going to explain what it is in order to avoid this being too long, but we always find this number by doing row minus 1 times column minus 1. The total is not included. So here we have 2 rows. So we're going to go 2 minus 1. And then we have 3 columns. So we're going to go 3 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so this number is 2. All right, so let's go back here. I'm going to do it again. Equals, so we're going to go to chi. Remember, it's this inverse RT. I'm going to take the probability, that's that p-value, and we have degrees of freedom too. Ta-da! Look at that. We got our number. And so now you can complete the chi-square test. You can look at the given critical value and decide to accept or reject. Remember, this one was bigger than our critical value, so write reject. And then we decided that it was not independent. So at this point, if you were able to follow that, got all the values, then you can go ahead and stop the podcast and go on to the practice. And if you want to hang on and just go through it with me one more time, I'm going to do the next example, which was the music genre, okay? The 2 functions are here. So remember, first we need the p-value, that's your chi-square test with the observed and the expected, and then we use it with the degrees of freedom to get our calculated value. So here we go. First of all, so remember our null hypothesis was that music genre preference is independent. So let's see. So the first thing, we are going to just need our sums, and first thing I am going to need brackets. Okay, get this value, and then we're going to extend this. And then get this row. Okay, so 80 is our number. So let's try this again, all right? So we're going to go equals, brackets. We're going to go our column total times the row total over the grand total. Okay, now I'm going to fix for the grand total. I'm going to fix both positions because I'm always dividing by 80. And then for this one, just look at the color coding if you're not sure. We're going to want to move along the letters, but we want to be stuck at 24. Yes, so I'm going to be just fixing that 24. And then for the row, I'm happy for this to be going down in the numbers, but I do want to stay in the H. So I'm just going to fix my H for that value. All right, so we got 19. Hopefully that was correct. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag it across the first row. Do the second row, and if you want to, you can of course check the totals. They should be the same. It's not, no, not those ones. I'm checking my expected ones, and they should be the same. All right, so let's finish this off. Now we've populated it, and again, remember the long way was taking each one, subtracting, squaring, and then doing it out of the expected. All right, let's find the p-value, and I've written it right here. So the p-value, so we're going to find our chi-squared test first. Booms, our actual range, okay, and then expected range. There's our p-value. And then for the chi-squared, we are going to need degrees of freedom. Remember, it's row minus 1 times column minus 1, so we still have 2 rows, so it's 2 minus 1. And then our columns here are 4, so it's 4 minus 1. And then just do the math. 1 times 3. So our degrees of freedom here is 3. Okay, let's do it. So we're going to go to the chi-squared, this inverse RT. This is our probability. This is the p-value. And then our degrees of freedom is 3. And there we go. Ta-da! Yep, it's what we had last time. And remember, that was way smaller than the critical value, the difference that we were willing to accept. So we accepted H null. Music genre preference was indeed independence. Okay, so go ahead and try it. You may get some errors and all that. I do many times. Excel can be frustrating, but hopefully you can master this and then be pretty proud of yourself of doing this on Excel, and it'll be helpful in the diploma next year. Bye.